Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being on. It was a good scrimmage today. Really, it was an unexpected change in the weather. Actually, had to make a sudden change right before we went out. Had to go into the indoor, due to lightning in the area, and provides an opportunity for guys to adapt and adjust. The atmosphere which we expected was not quite what it ended up being, but our guys, I thought they did a good job and came out and competed hard. I thought it was really a good way for us to sequence in. We had a big situational scrimmage in one here today. Really played it more like a game. Had the clock working. Got some 2-minute situations that were good for our guys to have to go through. I thought the first defense was outstanding today. I mean, they did a remarkable job creating some negative plays. Had 3 explosive takeaways. 1 forced fumble and 2 interceptions. Akeem Dent did a really nice job, showed great range. See him growing in his role as making the transition last year to safety. We saw as the season went, he got better and better with those opportunities. And today, really did a nice job in creating those explosives. And it was really dominant performance by the first defense. The first offense would 5 times. They would get going. I thought they were working and moving with solid tempo. That was something we've really been emphasizing throughout the week. But and then we'd have a mishap or a negative that would cost a possession or force force challenging situations. The second offense, I thought they did a remarkable job. Really did a good job of moving the ball. Had some explosive plays. Big runs, created some big passes, and opportunities there. I like what I'm seeing, from that group, and just I think it speaks to the depth that we have and the competition that we have, really across the board. In what we're trying to force with some of those opportunities, and it was good. It was a good work day all in all. I mean, we got pretty close to the same number of plays that we did last week. And just like I said, the situations were a little bit different. Did add a couple situations there towards the end just to make sure that we would get it with, on both sides of the ball. But all in all, a good work day. Something that we're going to be able to go back and watch and really you'll be able to build upon.
All right, first question will be Irish Phil from Warcamp.
I think at the end of last season, losing Kurt Kier and Jermaine, there were a lot of concerns outside of the program about how that might affect the first-team defense overall. How have you felt through a few weeks of spring about kind of life after Jermaine and really those two?
Yeah, I'm excited about our group, and when you have that many returning starters around them that really played better as the season went and built in their confidence. Then you add in very talented young men. Tatum has made a great impact to our defense. Jared Verse, the development of. Derek McClendon has been remarkable. Seeing what he's done with his body and the productivity of what he's doing. Dennis Briggs got some good work today, which was impressive to see. Some of those, those young players up front. I mean, Josh Farmer, he was out last week for scrimmage. Got to get him some good work, and he definitely flashed in moments. And he's done a good job throughout these the time that he's been available here. Jarrett Jackson is somebody I know we've talked a lot about, but you see in his growth. Patrick Payton, up front is another young, defensive end, and then really, all those guys. I mean, I'm excited about what I'm seeing. So you have, we're further along in our growth, and I think we've been able to develop, guys as they've been here, and been able to bring in guys that are really helping that cause. I mean, I know he was talked about in this week a little bit, but like Renardo Green is somebody that he's been here, he just hasn't being healthy and being able to add to that competition at corner. I love what I'm seeing from him. Amarian Cooper a year into it, growing up. Greedy Vance, coming in as a newcomer is really helping us. It's all Jerry and Jones, had some good plays today, and really, coming, back to back, really good work days, and then the depth that's there and the competition. I mean, it's helping elevate everybody, and that's what's needed. And it was good to see them all working today, and I thought it was like I said, I thought they were dominant and created a lot of those explosive plays.
Next will be Brennan Sinone from Knowles 247.
Mike, we've seen Akeem Dent make plays consistently throughout the spring, impactful plays. Sounds like you said, at the opening, that he had a lot of impact plays today. I guess, what is kind of clicking for him? Is it a matter of just getting confident at safety? Yeah,
I think it is. And, being, and Akeem is a very talented young man. I mean, he has great range, speed. That playmaking ability is something that, as he made the transition from corner to safety, it's really, I think, put him in a great spot to utilize all of those talents. And he is, he's doing a good job in the run game. He's doing a really good job in the passing game. And, you just see that the confidence and communication and things that are necessary, it's letting him play at a high level.
Next will be Matt Marshall from the Orlando Sentinel.
Mike, you mentioned the second team offense obviously stepping out and performing a little bit better today. What did you see from those guys, and how good is it to have maybe some of those guys who are going to be backups this year that can maybe help out and make an immediate impact?
Well, and that's where, being able to, we need more than 11 guys. And if we're going to play with tempo, we're going to play with speed, opportunities for guys in the skill position units. I mean, I don't see it as a 1 and a 2 unit as much. You have to break it up in a scrimmage for what that looks like. And, there were guys that, really rose up and made some outstanding plays. I thought, Kentron, Portier had a huge catch, there today, in a backed up situation, put together some impressive plays that we saw early in the spring. Last week, just full transparency, I didn't think he had his best scrimmage, but really responded well today. Johnny did really well. Micah did really well and those guys are working. With all the receivers are all working and basically in a 2-group situation. Trey Benson had a big touchdown run. I tell you, DJ Williams has put together 2 really, really good practices back to back, and you hit an explosive touchdown. I think he's running faster, moving better than what he has. But seeing those guys along with Rodney Hill in the backfield, I thought it was good to see them operate. We've had a couple guys go down, and the availability up front is tested a little bit of our depth. But one bright spot for me today was Thomas Schrader. He got his first scrimmage action, and Thomas is somebody that. It was unfortunate last year in fall camp. He went down and was out for with a very significant injury, and it was one that he's one of the toughest young men I've ever been around. And to see him get back out there today, we had him on a play count, but I think he got close to 15 plays, and I'm just so proud of him for what he's done. It was good to see him out there moving, and it was there's just a lot of growth and a lot of steps that are being taken. We still have some young tackles there, in the depth, and those guys have to grow up. I mean, some of them should be in high school right now, so it's good seeing their continued work. But all in all, I thought it was a good day.
That could be Perry from Tomahawk Nation.
But you talked on tempo a little bit there. How do you think that it compares to last week when you're a little bit not satisfied with how it was going?
No, I mean, it was good. I mean, I really, what I really appreciate about this team is, they're growing in understanding the emphasis of what we're asking them to do, the areas of improvement. When we tell them that we want to see something, they are really putting forth a lot of energy and focus on getting that done. I think. Anybody, you guys were out at practice, there was incomparable the intensity from Tuesday's practice to Thursday's practice, and they got challenged. And, I didn't have to give them a motivational talk on Thursday because they knew what the expectation was. I was able to address it, strongly encourage that it needed to be better, and they answered the call. And, today, you take the first offense, we had 3 turnovers. So that has been something that we've been phenomenal with, throughout spring ball. I don't know if we've thrown an interception in our first group through how many practices we're at right now. I think it's through 9 practices. in a team situation. And now, but in practice 10, we had a couple of those plays that, we're going to have to learn from. And, how we respond to that is I've got a lot of confidence in, but I like the emphasis and the tempo and, how guys were working to push that. And, now it's just continuing to be very efficient and effective when we do.
We'll go back to Ira.
By the time you guys came out of camp last fall, just trying to game plan or game weeks, Tate ended up being third or fourth, getting a lot of those kinds of reps. How good is this spring been for him to just get in there with the first couple groups and, just get more reps and more quality reps, I guess?
It's been huge, and he's doing what I expected him to do. I know I've said it last year, even though you don't really get to see. I saw steps last year of what he was doing, but I want to make sure that I knew this was gonna be a big spring for him, and he's, like I said, he is the confidence, the execution. It's not a finished product. He still has a lot of work he's got to continue to do, but seeing him come in and just the way that he's growing, making some great plays, with his arm, make some great plays with his feet. I'm impressed, and I'll touch on AJ Duffy. It's. I got to jump on him a little bit after Thursday's practice because I thought there were some times that maybe he wasn't his best, and he just came out and responded today, and did some really good things. Just his made some checks in the run game that for a high school senior, some of the things that we ask our quarterback to do. He's really impressive, and he was one that had the big throw. We're on to Kentron coming off the goal line really, and that's just it's a big time play in the moment, and you're just excited about some of the steps of what he's doing.
This will be Kurt Wiley from Tallahassee Democrat.
Mike, I don't know how much you were rotating any guys in the defensive backfield, or if it was pretty strict first team, second team, but I guess how much of an asset is it, especially in a scrimmage setting like that and in a spring game, just how many guys have shown promise in the defensive backfield?
It's huge, and you have the guys that are returning, you have the guys that are that are the newcomers. With Grady, who's a little bit further along, just in a sense of experience and years, and then having Azaria and he had I thought he had a great scrimmage today, and the plays that I could that jumped off to me. I thought he did some really good things. Sam McCall, it was probably had his best practice Thursday, and he's growing in so much confidence. Being here early and to get into that type of depth with a group and seeing that production and push, guys know that they've got to perform, and they're doing a better job of communicating. The details, the fundamentals. They're really competing with each other, and it's fun to see.
We'll go to Aslan Al-Jabandi from Warchant.
Coach, with this being Jordan's fourth year on the campus, it just felt like things were setting up for him to really take control of being the quarterback of this team and this program. But Tate's really kind of caught your attention. Has Tate's improvement pushed Jordan, and is that job at this point up for grabs?
No, Jordan's our starting quarterback. Jordan has done a phenomenal job. I think that you better have competition at every position, and does that push guys? Yes, you need to be pushed. Everybody does. But I can tell you the one thing I love about Jordan, it's not from a push of another person. It's the push that he has for himself, and it's exciting to see the way they're competing. The thing that Tate and AJ are showing is that they are competing to be ready when their number is called, and whenever that might be, whenever that might look like. But Jordan, he's done a lot of things throughout his career, and even the improvement he's shown from the fall to the spring. He is in a much better place than he was at any point last year, just in skill set and understanding offense. He had some plays today that weren't his best, and that's going to show up in times, just like all three of those quarterbacks. That's been a part of a part of that growth, and we're not game planning. We're not trying to do things that we're putting them in some challenging situations to really have to go out there and execute regardless of what look shows up, whatever they might see, and kind of have to handle that. That's one of the things that with his knowledge of the offense and where he is, it's been fun to see. And so I'm excited about that quarterback group and the steps that we've seen and the competition that we do have.
All right, next will be Carter Carls from Tallahassee Democrat.
Mike, what have you, I guess we talked to Derek McClendon, and he talked about how much energy Jared Verse has brought to the group and how it's just so much fun on the defensive line. Is that kind of what you've been seeing? And then also, particularly with Derek, how have you kind of seen him grow physically over his time here at Florida State?
He always put in a lot of work, and that the energy which those guys bring. Derek has, this last year I thought he took a step. And he's plays with great effort. There were times that he was probably out there that that's what he was having to rely on is just the effort, the toughness. There were still some things that he had to grow in, just the physical maturity of what he could, where his body could go. And you see him, he's in so much better control of his movements and the efficiency of his movements. And he still brings that energy and toughness, which is a necessity. But what you really you feel some of the explosiveness that's that's showing up on a play in and play out basis. And you mentioned Jared and his energy and the excitement that that's what it should be, man. You play in defensive line on this team, where you're going to have some fun. I mean, you're going to be able to attack. You're going to be able to go and make an impact, and that's something those guys take a great deal of confidence in, and it's fun watching them compete with each other.
We'll go back to Ira.
You mentioned Kentron, and I know on Thursday it seemed like a seam route they hit on as well. Last year, he showed the ability to catch some of those back shoulder catches in practice. What does he needed to do, or what does he need to do to become a more complete receiver that can be on the field in games? Yeah,
it's really just the consistency of of that body control and the things of creating separation. I think people don't realize Kentron he's still relatively new to football in a sense of having to go out there and his physical development. Very similar to almost Derek, like we just talked about. I mean, he's done a great job in the weight room. When we got him here, he was probably thrown into situations where, probably a little quicker than what we necessarily wanted, because we knew there was going to be a part of his process of growth. And his first year, you'd see a flash play, and then but it was for him to stack positive plays on each other. It was something he had to work through. And then last year you started seeing him doing that, but now it's time for him to let that confidence show up. And like I said, last scrimmage, it was probably not his. That was probably the worst day that he had in spring, because I think he's had a really good spring. But today, that he showed up in some critical moments, and it was definitely good to see, and should help him with that confidence moving forward.
All right, we'll go to Aslan for the last one.
With you and Coach Atkins taking so much control over the offense, it really has kind of freed up Tony to be a true quarterback coach. I mean, how much of that do you maybe credit to the improvement that you're seeing from Jordan, Tate, in that room?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tony does a remarkable job, with those guys, and we've got talented quarterbacks that want to learn, that they're very intelligent. They understand the expectations, and it's an all-inclusive kind of approach with that. But Tony knows his responsibility and the growth from those guys. I think he's done like I said, I think he's done a remarkable job with them, and to see especially when you have a guy like AJ who's just getting in and the strides and the things that he's understanding, it's gonna be fun to watch.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.